This video will be about the season powers. So if you've watched the Cursed Tablet video, this is kind of the corresponding thing that pairs with the Cursed Tablets slash Hunter Tablets. So that is for the Hunters, obviously, but the season powers are for the Seekers, which I also mentioned in the Cursed Tablet video. So, like the Cursed Tablets, these are available after 15 minutes have passed. The main difference is that these are much simpler to activate than the Cursed Tablets, and you will use these as a Seeker. So, the only thing you have to know is after 15 minutes, you are able to come to one of these towers on the ground here, each one corresponding to the season it is underneath. And each one is for that season power. So this one is summer, spring, fall, and winter. And to activate each one, the doors to get in, you have to go into these towers. The entrances, these little doors, are on the outside of the towers, like facing away from the season. So the door is here, right there. In winter and fall, they're facing the bee city here. So winter door is there. Fall is here. And each one is basically built the same. They're not like literally identical, but they all have the same structure. So I'm not going to bother going into each one. But they all just have like a spiral that goes all the way to the top. So I'll just, for the sake of it, I'll show it for winter. But you just run to the top. And there's a button. So in this case, the winter button, all the buttons are going to be at the top of the towers. So winter would be here. But once it's spawned in, you can see where the button is. It shouldn't be too hard to find it. But there will be a black button. So it will look like that. And then once it's there, the buttons are spawned in after 15 minutes. If you come up here before that, you just can't do anything. But once you press the button, that will then activate the power. It's also worth noting that you can jump down onto the floor of all these towers and not take any fall damage because there's powdered snow under these carpets. So that completely negates any fall damage. So you can press the button and then jump all the way down back to the floor. You don't have to run down the things again. That saves some time and makes it a little easier to potentially escape. Which is another thing to consider. It's difficult sometimes to get back out of these towers after you activate them if a hunter is close behind you, because they'll just be trying to camp the door here. That's another note. If you're a hunter, don't chase a seeker inside, because that'll make it easier for them to just get back out. You just need to camp the door if you're like right behind them. Another note is if you have the glitch item, which teleports you 5 blocks above where you're standing. It's in the digital forest near spawn. You can use the glitch at the top of these towers, and it will be enough to put you on top of the tower. So you'll go through the roof because it'll be 5 blocks higher than where you're standing, and these towers aren't very thick at the top or whatever. So using the glitch at the top of these towers can also be an escape route. So that's really all you need to know about how to actually activate each one. So then all that's left to talk about is what they do. So in case I get something wrong or I don't remember the specific numbers of things, you can check the handbook, which should be pinned in the Earth or the Discord general messages. There should be a pinned message for the handbook, I think. There's also a handbook linked in the Biome Guides channel, so you can check that, the season powers section, for the specific numbers of everything. But anyway, summer is speed 3, I think, for 30 seconds every minute and a half or something like that. But it's just periodic boosts of speed 3. Again, check the handbook for the specific stuff. You can also check season 3 changes. These actually might be season 2. I don't know. Check the handbook. Spring, that was summer. I don't know if I misspoke. Summer is the speed boosts, speed 3. Spring is every 45 seconds or something. it completely replenishes your health just instantly. So it's a little better than regen technically. Um, Winter will give the hunters periodic times of blindness, which makes it so that they cannot see name tags while it lasts. They last for 10 seconds. I think it's every minute for 10 seconds. They can't see name tags, and they also can't sprint. So that makes it pretty easy to escape if you're getting chased down by a hunter. And Fall will give the hunters weakness 2 for the rest of the round. It can't be turned off. Um, so weakness will reduce their melee damage. There's some other important things I haven't mentioned. Um, you can only pick one of them to activate. That's important. Once you activate one of them, all the other buttons are destroyed, so you can't activate two. And also the way it's kind of organized is, as you could have figured out, spring and summer are both seeker buffs. Those are both things that make the seekers better. Winter and fall are both hunter debuffs, things that make it more difficult on the hunters. So you can decide which of those approaches you want to take. In addition, summer and winter kind of play into the same play style. So they're both what I call the elusive play style, where you're really just trying to stay alive and stay away from hunters and get lots of mobility items and stuff like that. So in that way, winter makes it easier to escape the hunters, and summer makes you run faster. So they both kind of contribute to the same thing. But there's specific stuff like winter might be better if one of the hunters is playing the chicken class, because if the blindness turns on while they're flying, it makes it likely that they might crash into something. For example, there's some specific things like that you might want to consider when you're choosing between those. And then the other side of that is spring and fall are both really good for a combat approach if you're trying to get hunter kills and generally be more of a threat as a seeker, get armor weapons and get some hunter kills, since those also give you points. So spring is really good because in the middle of a fight you might just get your health replenished if it happens to, happen at the right time. And fall is really good, especially if they're playing like Knight class or Brawn that gives them really good melee attack. Fall might do a really good job counteracting that and make it a little more possible for you to actually fight the hunters. So again, we've got summer and winter are kind of part of the elusive style, and then spring and fall are more the combat style. Now that is to say, if you pick fall but you don't try to get hunter kills, it's not necessarily bad. I mean, the hunters having weakness 2 is always going to be helpful, but it's just that if you're not really going for hunter kills or you're not really trying to do that, it's probably better to just go for summer or fall. Sorry, summer or winter at that point. It's just that, like spring and fall will work really well if you are doing that. Just for example, but like spring is always a safe bet. Any of these are always a safe bet, but you want to make sure you're synergizing with your team's play style and according to what classes the hunters have picked. You want to do that as much as possible. But in a pinch, any of these will work. Any of these will work for you. So that is basically all the details you want to know about the season powers.